Resuming. Weird World Order broadcast. Dialer phones connected. Initiating broadcast signal in
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies, gentlemen, and knights of the Nerd World Order, this is the Nerd World Order broadcast. I am the man that you call Dukes, and to my right, it's all about the...
Booyah, what's up? It's your boy Joe.
And to my other right, weighing in at 178 adamantium filled pounds, it's Alfonso X-Man Flores.
You know how long I've been waiting for this? Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself.
And the name for yourself will not be Gambit. Oh, the cards. That was a nice touch. The name for this will not be Gambit. We're going to be talking about San Diego Comic-Con 2024 and all of the Marvel announcements. So, Alfonso, regarding the Marvel announcements, were you pretty excited when you heard about them?
I was. It was pretty tough. I didn't get to go to Comic-Con. Kind of sucked for me. I actually had passes available for Saturday and Sunday through a friend. Wife and kid got COVID, so I wasn't able to go. Fortunately, I sat home pouting and basically, watching TikTok, Instagram, Facebook for information, all the information I can get. And I probably heard about it before you guys, because you guys, I'm sure, didn't stand 5 hours in line to get in the Hall H. Information just starts to trickle down. All the Marvel announcements, a lot of them were jaw-dropping. Of course, a lot about Deadpool and stuff, but man, it's super exciting. So
cool. Very cool. Joe, regarding all the Marvel stuff, what are your thoughts as far as excitement?
Makes me happy for Phase 5.
Phase 5. Yeah. At this point, I don't really know what phase we're in, because I thought maybe Captain Marvel was part of Phase 5. At this point, it's kind of a blur, and I feel like they may not even... Phase 4 was such a travesty. I was trying to think of another word other than travesty. I'm not sure exactly where we're at as far as phases go, but initially my thoughts, there were a lot of things that came out, which we'll discuss here in a moment, but I'm excited about some of it. Others I don't care, and others I'm kind of like, I don't really care about those characters anyway. But I didn't care about the Guardians, and the Guardians are one of my favorite parts of the MCU now. So I feel like with the right directors, they'll be able to do a good job. So let's jump into this. The first thing we will be discussing is going to be Captain America: Brave New World. Sam Wilson has been one of my favorite characters in the MCU. He was cool, in my opinion, even though for some reason people don't like Anthony Mackie. I don't understand what that's about. Someone can educate me on that. People don't like Anthony Mackie, therefore, there's a little bit of pushback. But I'm excited for this movie. I'm excited for Red Hulk. I'm excited for Captain Harrison Ford. I'm excited that this appears to be a continuation of the Incredible Hulk that came out the same year as, I want to say, Thor, or around there, because I believe that makes it kind of like the first MCU movie. So that would be pretty cool. So, Alfonso, what do you think of that?
Yeah, that was a tough Hulk to follow. I liked it. I watched it. I mean, I wanted to find a lot of stuff I could like about it. And the more and more I watched it, it was good. And Anthony Mackie, I think he's doing a great job as Captain America. I think a lot of people are just, why are they going to get the guy that, Eminem can beat, to be our hero? But 8 Mile joke. Never mind. But yeah, he's been doing a killer job. And even though, what was it? Falcon and Winter Soldier was a failure. There was still a lot about it that I liked. So I'm definitely interested in the character. It's impressive. He is somebody who has no powers. He can fight. He's quick. He's strong, but he's got no powers. So he's got a winged suit. You know, he can fly because of it. You know, he can shoot some guns, and I doubt that he's shooting very much now that he's Captain America because he's got a shield. It's like, you know, a lot of people said Hawkeye was useless with his bow and arrows, but he was able to, you know, he was able to stand out. He was able to do what he needs to do, and like he did his part. But what's interesting about Anthony Mackie and Captain America, he's taking a front seat. You know, he's leading the charge, and you know, he's going to be our next, you know, leader of the Avengers. And it's interesting because he's just a man.
I'm gonna have to throw a few I disagrees out there. Now, first of all, they're not really I disagrees, but I feel like when they showed him, and now I want to watch the final episode of Captain America, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because when he was in the suit, correct me if I'm wrong, he got that suit from Wakanda, right? Like the Wakandans made his suit.
The second one that did they? Oh yeah. Man, we got to watch that again.
Yeah. Joe, do you recall? Okay, so I'm going to say that the Wakandans did make that suit. So it had, number one, obviously it's going to be made with vibranium. I assume that's an assumption on my part. Number two, I remember that he used the jets in order to magnify his punches and his strength and everything like that. And then he had the separate little jets, which were like his little birdies or whatever he called them. So that suit amplifies him as a human, similar how it worked for Iron Man. The suit made him able to compete against other people. Now, as far as him being the leader of the Avengers, I feel like that would be a lazy way to go. Everything we've seen, like if you look at pictures and stuff, he's the leader of the Avengers, but it's just like, oh, Captain America's always a leader of the Avengers. But is he, though?
Well, he's the only one with rank, so he's the captain.
What about Captain Marvel?
Oh, touche, dude.
And she's also ex-military, so, you know, Carol Danvers could go there as well. So, yeah, I would say overall, I think it's going to be interesting. Now, one thing that I did hear, the director of the movie, don't know his name, he says Sam Wilson does not start off having the super serum or having a super soldier serum. Mm-hmm. So that, for me, makes me think perhaps he will have it.
Can't compete with the big boys, so he's got to get drugged up. Is that what you're saying?
He's fighting a Red Hulk. So, I mean, you're fighting a Red Hulk. So, you know, what are you going to do there? Joe, what's your thoughts on that Captain America reveal?
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see Red Hulk in there. I think Anthony Mackie just gets hate like Brie Larson. So no matter what they do, people are just not going to like him. But yeah, I think him getting powers too would be weak because that's what makes him dope. He doesn't need powers. And I think if they do that, that's lazy writing for me.
There was a King Lion. I can't remember who sent it to me, but they were saying King Lion, he's not a they, unless he wants to be a they. If he wants to be a they, I'm cool with that King Lion. But he was saying that it looks like Sam Wilson at some point is stronger than he should be because he's fighting like these super powered people. He's not using his suit. So he may have the super soldier serum. I don't know where that went. You know, they're always making changes or explaining it. It was adrenaline rush. But it's one of those things where maybe it already happened in the comics, which would allow them to say it happened.
You know what I'm thinking is like if you in the previews for this, you have everything where like, you know, Harrison Ford or, you know, the president, Thunderbolt Ross is trying to get him to work for America. He's trying to get him to be, you know, like a soldier. He wants him to fall in line. So maybe he's going to be like, well, you come work for us and we'll give you Steve Rogers soldier serum. You know, you could have the super soldier serum. You can be a Captain America.
Maybe that's going to be sort of how can I put it? An internal conflict. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, because I don't see Sam Wilson as being the guy who wants the super soldier serum. I see him as being that guy who he wants to remain human because his humanity is what keeps him grounded.
Yeah. But when you're fighting a Hulk, it's like, I got to do something to step up. I always hate these movies like Spider-Man with Doc Ock, right? You get this a lot too. You get a lot of villains or heroes who they're human, but things make him super. So like Dr. Octopus, he's got all these tentacles. He can do whatever he wants. He gets punched in the face by Spider-Man. I'm sorry, that's going to kill him, right? I mean, Spider-Man does hold back a bit, but still, it's like he's not going to just shake it off no matter how much he holds back and be like, all right, let's go. He's going to get knocked out.
True, very true. So that would kind of like be the equivalent of when Homelander's son punched that one stunt double and he just went and splattered into the wall. Realistically, that's what would happen.
Yep.
Yeah. So, some stuff you just kind of have to suspend your disbelief. Like I always say when I'm watching Godzilla movies, at some point I find something to be preposterous, yet the entire premise of a Godzilla movie is preposterous. So, they're bringing back the leader, which is pretty cool. And that is one of those things where it just said that could either go really well or really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited about that. But one of the things you mentioned off camera, Alfonso, was Sidewinder. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who's going to be playing Sidewinder?
Well, Sidewinder was in the comics. He was part of what's called the Serpent Society. And what's weird is I honestly didn't collect a lot of Captain America comic books, but for some reason I did when the Serpent Society and Crossbones were in it. And I had tons of them. So Sidewinder, he wasn't even the leader of the Serpent Society, which in the Serpent Society, they're all a bunch of superhero or super villains with, snake themes, so you had Cobra, you had Sidewinder, you had Constrictor, Sidewinder, he's basically a guy with guns. And I mean, Giancarlo Esposito, in the previews, that's what we see, a guy with guns, and he's good and he's tearing it up. And, just like Giancarlo Esposito does, he puts some fear in you, right? Except when Do the Right Thing, where he's like when they stepped on his Nikes. Well, I guess he kind of scared the guy there too. So
I don't remember that, but I'll have to go back and watch it. So now, as far as Sidewinder goes, it looks like they're setting him up to be the leader in this movie. Is that the impression that you get?
I'm wondering. To me, Sidewinder, yeah, he's always been a little bit of a lackey, but the actor doesn't really fall into that role. Giancarlo Esposito is right now one of the top actors that we have. And with that comes changing scripts. Like, when you have what's her name as Mystique, all of a sudden she's such a big character in the X-Men. Come on, but I'm okay with Giancarlo Esposito because he is bad. So yeah, that as far as the leader, I don't know. I honestly think he's going to be some kind of merc and he's going to be working for somebody. He's going to be taking a paycheck. He's going to be taking somebody out. You know what I mean? How much he's going to be in the movie, who knows? Because I mean, we have the leader. I mean, for all intents and purposes, is a leader. We have the Red Hulk, not necessarily going to be a villain, but he's going to be a stepping stone in order to get past, to do what he needs to do. He's going to have to get past the Red Hulk. And, even with the Red Hulk, all intents and purposes, he's wanting to take care of business. He's probably going to go feral for a little bit. I mean, I don't know who else we have in this movie. I mean, is Winter Soldier ever going to pop in this movie? We do have the other Falcon, the new guy up. I don't remember his name, but he's going to be the Falcon in this movie.
Right. Yeah. So I would say that I'm okay with Esposito taking more of a leadership role. I understand that the reshoots actually took out, I keep wanting to say Henry Rollins, but Seth Rollins was originally one of the villains, and the reshoots
Really?
They took him out and they replaced him with Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah.
Seth Rollins from the Rollins. No, that's Henry Rollins.
That's Henry Rollins.
Seth Rollins,
WWE star extraordinaire. Yeah. So I heard that he's been completely written out of the movie, even though, I mean, he was in the movie, but it stunk so bad that they did rewrites and stuff. So, the cool thing is they're doing rewrites. So, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Joe, what are your thoughts on Giancarlo being put in there?
He's dope. I like him. He's a great actor. I was kind of hoping he'd be like Professor X. But that'd have been pretty cool. Like I
Yeah.
was really lobbying for that. So when I saw him in this trailer, I was kind of bummed about that. But yeah, he's I'm like, who's gonna be like it's because you have him and then you have the leader, and then of course you're gonna have to fight Red Hulk. And then they also said that the Hulk is gonna be in there as well. So maybe that's to your point that you were saying you need backup would be the Hulk. You know what I mean? Because then you don't have to worry about getting punched in the face and dying like from the boys, which I'll never watch.
Missing out.
Yeah, and then you have the leader. I wonder if what if the leader is just like in the beginning of the movie because this picks up from the last Incredible Hulk, and then that's that, and then it moves on to like I can never get his name, bro. Giorgio, is that right?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Giancarlo. Yeah, and then maybe he becomes the main guy that's working for Harrison Ford's Hulk. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of want to say like the end of Hulk, because the Hulk's in the Thunderbolts too, right? Is he going to be in that movie or
No?
Yeah, Red Hulk.
So
Red Hulk is part of the Thunderbolts in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I was thinking the same thing.
But what if that's at the end of the movie? Gets, you know what I mean? Then he has his own team, and then you have the Thunderbolts, and it ends. So it says so because I think Thunderbolts is next, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, or it's like an end credit, maybe. I don't know. I know that's gonna lead into Thunderbolts.
Well, let's jump into it, Thunderbolts, because that is next up on our docket. So that's perfect timing there. Going with Thunderbolts. So I don't know much about the Thunderbolts. Some people were like, "Oh, are they related to Thunderbolt Ross?" Or blah blah blah. I don't know much about the Thunderbolts. I'm going to rely on Alfonso's expertise here. Tell us what we don't know about the Thunderbolts, Alfonso.
So, in the comic books, the Thunderbolts are a team of supervillains. Previously, the Masters of Evil. So, it included like Baron Zemo. It included the Beetle. Is that his name? Beetle, not Blue Beetle. Beetle from Spider-Man. It had a bunch of people in it. Not the guy Atlas. But anyways, so all they were doing is they were pretending to be heroes. They were setting up situations to where like they go and they beat up lesser bad guys and then they win the hearts of the people, right? So they're putting themselves in a status to where they are becoming empowered. They start working with the government. So they have an in there, right? And then when all else fails, even Norman Osborn was in it, when all is said and done, it's like, haha, reveal, we're bad guys. Norman Osborn like had an Iron Man suit, called himself Iron Patriot. And there was just like a whole thing. There was even like one of the bad guy villains from the X-Men. There was a team called Fenris. And I don't know, since we're talking about Trial of Magneto a while back, Uncanny X-Men 200, there's a brother and sister who they would join hands and then they would be able to shoot lasers, right? Mm-hmm. This is like, I got to go off on this little tangent really quick because the sister had died. So what the brother had did was taken her skin and he took the skin off of her hand and kind of made it into leather and wrapped the sword, because he was Citizen V, wrapped the sword hilt around or the sword handle around it. So that way, when he held the sword, he was holding her hand and he could shoot the laser through the sword. It was so sick when I found that out. And, because it was a whole Fenris thing, it made me, excited. Mm-hmm. But they had this big reveal. They were trying to take down the Avengers at one time. They even became the Dark Avengers, so that's all the same team. In the movies, it doesn't seem like they're going the same route. It looks like Valentina or Elaine from Seinfeld in her dance. She's gathering a team that will work for her. So you've got, like the not the Captain America, but the Super Patriot, who else? You got the White Widow. US Agent. That's what he is. White Widow. You've got Red Guardian. Bucky. That's interesting that Bucky is on this team because a lot of these guys are reformed bad guys. I get, Bucky is a reformed bad guy. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe if they're going to do some kind of power switch like this, maybe they're going to get him reprogrammed and, give him the words, freight truck and stuff like that, and get him to be the Winter Soldier again. But yeah, who knows? It's basically going to be a government sanctioned super team. And if they're going to do that, why not just use X Factor? Come on.
Because we don't have mutants yet, but I get what you're saying. So, based on what you're saying, as I run through the roster, every member of the roster started out as a villain.
Yeah.
Bucky started out as a villain. You have Ghost started out as a villain.
Yes.
Taskmaster, White Widow started out as a villain. And of course, US Agent kind of started out as a villain.
And is more of a villain.
Yeah, and did more of a villain. So it does sort of follow that line. And then to your point, Elaine's character, whose name I can't pronounce. By the way, I could never say Giancarlo myself. I'm just, dude, I was just winging it. Every time I said it, I was like, I hope I'm saying it right. I don't know. But yeah, now that you're going through that, it does fall in line as far as villains becoming heroes. Now, will people look at that and say, where have I seen this before done very, very poorly, but then done very, very well by James Gunn? But at that point, nobody cared about it. Suicide Squad.
Yep.
Yeah. So I feel like they may get compared to Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I was thinking this team, they got a lot of shields, but they're also not very strong. But you throw the Red Hulk in there and they are buff. Yeah, Red Hulk, dude, he's got some, he doesn't get strong. The stronger he doesn't get matter, he gets stronger. He gets the matter he gets, the hotter he gets. So he starts to burn, like he'll burn footprints in the ground, and then he'll start emitting radioactive. It's nuts. And that's how he's able to take the Hulk down. For the most part.
Right. So I heard the Sentry is going to be in this movie.
Oh, that's right, Sentry. I forgot all about that.
Now, Sentry, I feel like introducing Sentry is like introducing Captain Marvel. He can murk the entire MCU by himself, including Captain Marvel.
Right.
What are they going to do with that? That's like when they introduced Adam Warlock. But then they made him like a dumb child, and they reduced his ability as well. If you're going to bring these characters into the MCU, then give them their actual power level, or just use someone else.
Right.
What do you think of that, Joe?
Yeah, I think Bucky needs to be Bucky, man. Winter Soldier. Because he should be the main hero, like the leader, at least, because he's one of the Avengers, right?
Yeah.
But if he doesn't fight like the Winter Soldier, man, I'm gonna be disappointed because this is supposed. Because I remember, do you remember when I won that free? Was it the Endgame poster with the Russo brothers? They signed it, and then what can I think of his name? Anyways, I'll just say Bucky signed it. And I remember I was like, hey, one of my favorite movies is The Winter Soldier. And I remember he looked at the Russo brothers and it was like, tell those guys. Like they could do something. You know what I mean? But I think it was more so that was when he was relevant. You know what I mean? Because I felt like he wasn't as dope. Yeah. And the next, like the next movies he was in. So I hope he gets his just due. I hope he's dope. I hope there's some dope fight scenes. But to your point, Sentry kind of worries me because what are you going to do with that guy? Even with the Red Hulk, I feel like I don't think that's enough. I mean, yeah, it's just a bunch of, if you think about it, a bunch of Batmans. You know what I mean? Because there's no they're just human with no powers and gadgets and sticks, or machine guns. But what's that going to do with the Sentry,
Yeah.
So I don't know, but to your point, very similarities to like Suicide Squad. But I think Marvel and DC do that all the time. If I make this, I'm going to make mine. See who does better at which character.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, the last Suicide Squad was really good and no one cared. Makes you wonder, no matter how good Superman is, they might not care either. Superhero fatigue, maybe, but I don't know. I think Deadpool brought a lot of people back.
Mm-hmm. Totally did.
Which I'll go right back to that conversation we were talking about. So, I'm kind of looking forward to it, but I have my, I guess, doubts because like
Yeah.
watching Deadpool made me excited what's to come, but I feel if you got to show the Red Hulk to get people hyped up about a movie, you know what I mean? I would have been, I would have liked for them not to do that. Kind of like how when people said X-23 was at the end of the trailer, everyone was like, "Oh, that's." I wish we would have saw that in the movie instead of through a trailer.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that would be the same with, Red Hulk, catching the shield and throwing it down. That's a cool scene that I think they wasted in the trailer.
Yeah.
Maybe to get people to get excited, but makes me worried more so. Is it going to be as good, or did you need to do that for a cheap pop?
Yeah. I agree 100%. I'm hoping that at this point, and I know it's kind of silly for me to hang all my hopes on Deadpool, but I'm hoping that now they figured out you have to save some really good stuff. Like, yeah, we see Red Hulk, but then it's like, oh, but then this happens and this character, you weren't expecting this character. That would be pretty cool. That's what I'm hoping for. Definitely. Let's see here regarding Thunderbolts. Did I have another question? No. I feel like this is going to be one of those, and I hope Marvel doesn't do this either. They've slowed down, thank goodness. They're kind of keeping it like what we need to show you, we need to show you. I hope it's not filler. I hope everything they do now is getting to a point where it's going to matter for something else. And I also hope, because the first two movies that we've talked about are sort of, they're Earth-based characters, like they're more soldiers, so to speak.
Right.
I hope they don't try to mix their soldiers with what would be the next thing, which is sort of the cosmic, like the big adventures. Like sometimes we talk about the street level fighters,
Right.
the defenders, stuff like that. I hope they let Cap be Cap and do Cap's thing, and they don't try to have him try to fight in outer space with a helmet on. Like, oh, I got a space helmet on, now I'm Cap in outer space. I hope they don't do that.
I got you, man. That makes sense.
Yeah. So speaking of Cap in outer space, let's turn to something I'm just going to say right now. I'm not excited. I don't care. Call me a hater. Call me whatever you want. I'll make a t-shirt that says hater. I don't care. I don't care about the Fantastic Four. Make me care about the Fantastic Four. Alfonso, tell me why you care about the Fantastic Four.
That's what this movie is going to do. It's going to make you care about the Fantastic Four. So, look at Fallout, right? A lot of people didn't even play that game, but it has that really interesting early 50s, 60s nostalgia to it. And people started to fall in love with it. So I'm really surprised that they're starting the 50s and 60s. And I think there was even another movie where, like, when somebody said something about Fabulous Four, it's like, oh yeah, we had a band. There was the band in the 60s or something. So they could have been talking about this Fantastic Four. So it's a superhero team. Marvel's first family. It was basically what got the ball rolling at Marvel. It made way so that like Spider-Man was given an opportunity. Because before that, Marvel was putting out like Westerns and romance novels or, comics. So it's like they rolled into the superhero. They weren't very successful with it, but like DC was at the time. They brought in the Fantastic Four, and what they did, they gave them relatable problems, real world people. Yeah, they're dealing with cosmic stuff, but they're people, at the bottom line, they're just normal people. You got Ben Grimm, who's just this, he's this big lug who he can't be loved because of how he looks. You've got, Reed Richards, who's super smart, and you've got the Invisible Woman, who's super hot, but she's smart as well. So, and then the Human Torch, he was the kid, the classic, the kid, like we're talking about in that one X-Men podcast. There's always the kid, and Human Torch was that, and he was always cracking wise, always not taking things too seriously, and it was funny to see him like hang around in Deadpool. He was the one member of the Fantastic Four left. Kind of reminded me of, I don't know if you guys read or know about the Ronin comic books from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Only one turtle survived. He uses all four weapons. Doesn't really wear a color. I think he wears black, so you don't know which one he is. So which one was toughest enough to live? Well, they find out right off the bat, Raphael was the first to be killed. Right. Well, maybe it's the leader. Nope, he died. Michael, he's a smart one. It was actually Michelangelo the whole time, who is like the kid, the one who is always messing around. So it's like there's always that person who at one point something tragic is going to happen. They're going to grow up and take charge and do what they need to do. So I don't know. That's what's nice about the Human Torch, the way he was in Deadpool. I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but it was kind of fun. But that's the thing. They're real people and they got real problems. But on top of it, they got some real big stuff they got to deal with, and they got to find a way to think outside the box because they've never seen anybody do it before. You know, they're the first. Like when they fought Galactus in the comic book, you know, they couldn't beat him. There was no way they were going to beat him. And somehow Reed found out about a thing called the Ultimate Nullifier, snuck on a ship, stole it, and it's a thing that's going to erase you from existence. It's not only going to erase you from existence, it's going to erase everything about you that came before and that'll come after. There is never going to be or have had been a you if this thing is used on you. But the thing is, it will take out the user as well in the exact same way. So, you know, he's like, I'm going to use this on you. And Galactus is like, you won't use it on me. He goes, because that'll destroy you too. And he's like, well, you know, that's how much I care about my planet, that I'll sacrifice myself and I will take you out. And I don't know if they're going to bring the Ultimate Nullifier in the movie, but they are bringing Galactus and they're doing him right. And he's not going to be a giant smoke monster.
Yeah. Everything that you said is accurate. And just because you're the first doesn't mean that I have to care about what you're doing. And that's my thing with the Fantastic Four. Like, okay, first of all, what's her name? Sue Storm? She's not hot. Okay. The homies be fighting over her for like 70 years now. Come on, my brothers. There's other chicks you can find in Marvel other than Sue Storm. She's not a baddie. Okay. She's not a baddie. And like, I'm going to use the Ultimate Nullifier. I think that's probably how they're going to end up in the MCU. Who knows? You know, I feel like they are going to use the Ultimate Nullifier. They're going to basically all be vaporized. And then at some point, War World or whatever happens in other movies is going to basically cause them to all come back. But I don't know. Ben Grimm, like, I never liked Ben Grimm. Like, he was just like, why does he talk like that? You know what I mean? Like, it's clobbering time. Like, he went to college, right? I mean, he went to college, yet my dude has like no grammar. Like,
he's on a football scholarship. Come on, you know that. Wrestling or something.
I just feel like they needed him to be like, quote unquote, the big, to your point, like the big dumb jock. But then it's like, why? You know, it's kind of like, I just feel like everything about the Fantastic Four was just a cliche. And it wasn't even a cliche for like, oh, you're cliche minorities. It was like, my poor white folks had to be cliched out, you know, like, oh, you're this young kid. So, oh, you get to be a hothead. Oh, wow, look at you. You're a big guy. So, of course, you're dumb. Oh, you're a woman. So, you know what? Mainly, oh, by the way, you're invisible because no one cares if you're here or not. And also, you know what your main point is? You get to be the romantic interest for everyone in the MCU that's over the age of 18. So, I don't care about no Fantastic Four. Joe, help me out here, bro.
First off, Alf, that ain't convincing anybody. Second, Sue Storm was a baddie when it was Jessica Alba. I'll tell you that. Yeah, that's when.
Facts.
Shorty's a little baddie. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't really, honestly, I didn't care. I don't care about the Fantastic Four. Never did in the comics. I don't even think I remember. I don't think I've ever bought an issue. When my dad was in the military, would take me around to his barracks of the people that he's in charge of, and they would just give me comics. And I think that was the only time I ever got a Fantastic Four comic was when they gave me those comics. But yeah, dude, like the only thing I like about anything of Fantastic Four is my boy Doom. You know what I mean? So like, I'm stoked about that. Like, I'm hoping he has to do a cameo there to set everything up. You know, kind of like how they do with Thanos. I don't care if it's a post-credit screen, you know, or it's in the movie at the end before the post-credit scene. I don't care as long as I get to see him in there. And I don't care about anybody else. Like, it didn't bother me with him saying Clobber Time. What bothered me was everybody else can use their powers when they want and didn't affect them. Meaning, if you want Johnny wanted to be on fire, be on fire. If she wanted to be invisible, she's invisible. If he wants to stretch, he stretched. But my man was stuck as a brick the whole time. I'm like, how is that possible? So even when I would watch him and stuff, I'd tell myself like, how come he can't change like everybody else? I mean, the Hulk can change, She-Hulk can change. You can say flame on. You know what I mean? I'm just like, he's stuck. Is that just so you can write stories about how he's not going to find the love of his life because that's why she goes out? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't like that story. She's blind and she can't feel me, but then she's like, oh, I love you. I don't care what you look like because you can't see me. Basically, it's like me trying to find Sue Storm. But yeah, the only time I ever liked Reed Richards, bro, was in the I think it was Secret Wars, right? If I'm not mistaken. Where no, it's not. Is it that? Yeah, where he well, you know, he manipulated everything. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
That was when he was dope. You know, that's when I cared. I mean, I stopped reading comics at the beginning, mad expensive. But I know like a few months ago he came back again. He was trying to recruit some people. I didn't finish that story because it's mad expensive. But anyways, I digress. But yeah, that was the only time I ever cared about anybody in the Fantastic Four. I didn't really even care too much about their kids being the most powerful mutant, which I know that probably was south because it's like, how is that possible? You know what I mean?
He's a mutant. He's not a mutant. He's a mutant. He's not a mutant. And yeah, you know, you're right. Doom and Reed Richards, their story from day one has been laced together. So interesting to see how they go with that because you know they attended college together. You know, that's they were constant competition. You know, you got the Latverian prince coming over who's got all the money in the world and he's always the smartest person in the room. And then he meets Reed Richards and he's not the smartest person in the room anymore. We got Sheldon Cooper over here showing him how it is, and you know, taking his woman. So we shall see. I
have a question too. Because
Mm-hmm.
check this out. Like, is Galactus going to come at the end of the movie and then they got to fight him off? Or is it in the beginning? One question. The second question is, if you're going to bring in Doom, to your point, if they have that dude, they've always had that story. What if this Fantastic Four and that Doom, Victor Von Doom, which is actually Tony Stark wearing in there. We're not Tony Stark, but he looks like Tony Stark in that universe.
Mm-hmm.
Then they both get transported, and that's how you get the Fantastic Four in our time period, and you get that Victor Von Doom that comes over, and all that would have to be after Endgame.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, Doom always has a time machine. He's got the Doom time machine. He invented it. You know, Fantastic Four steals it. I can see them bringing him over that way. I think Galactus is going to be the big bad at the end of the movie because it's going to be everything culminating to end up fighting him. And I think you're right. I think Doom is going to be something that's going to happen in the background in the trailer sequence. The other thing is too, it's like there is a story out there where Doom switches bodies with Tony Stark. It's in the comics. So, you know, my thought is they're going to come to the future together and he's going to be like, well, I got to find somebody who everybody loves so that way, you know, I can step in that role, kind of like the whole Thunderbolts thing. We're pretending to be a good guy. So I think he's somehow going to like either plastic surgery or he's going to somehow swap bodies with Tony Stark because maybe he'll come back a little bit earlier before he dies or something. Who knows? And I think secretly it's still going to be Victor Von Doom. He's just going to look like Tony Stark.
Yeah, I don't even think it's going to be Tony Stark, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's just going to be a lookalike. But you know what's impressive is like that story is actually a dope story.
Yeah,
and it's pretty cool how it ended. But it was funny because my son was like, "Hey, what are you guys talking about?" I'm like, "We're going to be talking about Marvel, Gabriel," and he's like, "You know what's really cool?" And he begins to tell me the story about Tony Stark and Victor Von, how they switch places. I mean, I know how the story goes and ends, but it's just, go ahead, son, like break it down. So it's like, oh yeah, this and this and that, you know. And then at the end, what's this? Oh, dude, it's dope. I'm like, yes, it is, son. It's a dope little storyline. But to do that, I don't think you have time.
Yeah,
I don't think you have time. I think somehow they get transported from the 60s and then they come into the present time. How dope would that be? Like Victor Von Doom comes in that timeline and he's there and he sees all those memorials about Tony Stark and he's like, who's that? And then and then have him go face to face with like a Spider-Man too, and then have him be like, oh, you know what I mean?
Mr. Stock.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. They could be tricking us and make variants, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to say this, and we can all say that it was 40 minutes and 16 seconds into the 105th episode of the Nerd World Order broadcast, where Alan was completely wrong. I think that Fantastic Four is an alternate universe, because based on my understanding, the 60s is sort of like futuristic. Like they have flying cars and stuff, you know. So if it's the 60s, but it has like futuristic stuff, it's got to be an alternate universe. So I feel like in that alternate universe, you could have, you know, Doctor Doom or a Latvian prince, Victor Von Doom, that does look like Tony Stark. That's my guess.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now, the other thing, and then I'll leave this alone. Fantastic Four had the worst costumes. The worst costumes in the history of comic books. Worst.
They're made of unstable molecules. It's going to be very, very useful when they start, you know, having everybody wear superhero costumes.
They just didn't look cool, right? Like,
No.
Yeah.
No matter who was the artist, it just isn't cool to me. Like, it's just weird when we go to panels and remember that we went to the remember Dwayne McDuffie? McDuffie. No, McDuffie. And the guy was like, "Oh yeah, McDuffie was so excited to do Fantastic Four." And I was thinking at the time, why? The dude that created Static, Icon, and got Mouse going really wanted to write and draw for like Fantastic Four. I was just like, man, why though? But they said that was one of his favorite comics. Was, I don't know. I just never got into it. I just didn't see it.
Me either. I feel like a lot of people are just like Alfonso, like, oh, this is classic, it's nostalgic, so we have to like it. But it's like, no, we don't. You know. And if you do, that's great. If you do, that's great. But no, not for this kid. Now,
you know what? Did you think like Plastic Man was better? Because you know when we grew up with like Super Friends, he was on there.
Yeah,
like it was just better.
Yeah, I love me some Plastic Man. His suit was better. He had a cool personality. His girlfriend was, I'm not saying she was a baddie because she was a cartoon, okay? I'm not going there, okay? I'm not a hentai guy. But she looked a lot better than Miss Fantastic. She didn't have no power. She was better than Sue Storm. So, yeah, 100, dude. I love me some Plastic Man, dude.
Hold on. His costume was not better, dude. I don't know if you remember, but he had that long V-neck with the strings between it, you know, a couple, 3 chest hairs sticking out. Okay, Plastic Man is super sweet, and he honestly is one of the most powerful characters in the DC universe, and people don't realize it. He can take anybody down because there's no limit to what he can do. You know, and he's way better than Mr. Fantastic because he can actually mold and shape into a form and hold it. And I know sometimes they show that in cartoons that Mr. Fantastic can do that. Mr. Fantastic cannot do that. He stretches. That's it. He stretches. You know, he can make himself paper thin, go under, but he's not changing his finger into a lock. Maybe a lock picking device, but it's not turning into a key. You know what I mean? He's not doing all that stuff. Plastic Man was a beast. He was so great. He was funny. He had those stupid goggles, but his costume was not better, you guys.
What's funny is you still not convincing Alan to like Fantastic Four, man. Like you just proven his case.
Dude, Plastic Man was looking like David Hasselhoff before David Hasselhoff, bro. Plastic Man was that cool, okay?
Dude, you know what's a better team than a Fantastic Four, bro? Remember, I don't know the name of the comic. It had him, Mr. Terrific. I can't remember the other two.
There was a
yeah. That was a good comic.
It was Metallo,
yeah,
and the Phantom Girl, or the girl from the Phantom. Yeah, so good.
Who could what? Phase out, right? Basically, it's a Fantastic Four, but better.
Yeah.
Now, if the writers can write that good on Fantastic Four, you might turn Alan around on that if the writing is good.
But then Joe just dropped that bomb where he's like, "Yo, you remember the Terrifics?" So I'm like, "Bro, what?
That was a
Fantastic
good
Four,
comic.
dude, that was a good comic."
Yeah.
If you, ladies, gentlemen, and knights, go pick up the Terrifics, which was like a run in DC where they were trying to make some irrelevant characters relevant. Such a good story. So well.
Yeah, well, they made it more relevant. I
Yeah.
love Mr. Terrific too.
Yeah, me too.
Dude,
Yeah.
but one other thing really quick about the Fantastic Four that kind of I'm not buying, and unless it's an alternate universe reality, like you were saying, I mean, I'm sorry, dude, the 50s, 60s, whatever it is, it was not kind to my Mexican brethren, right? And you have Pedro Pascal in there as Mr. Fantastic. Everybody's gonna be looking to him. Yeah, they're gonna be like in La Bamba, he plays that damn jungle music. Need I say more?
Mm. But he's a good actor, though. I mean,
Yeah,
he is.
I mean,
He is.
he's been winning on the last few stuff he's done, man.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite movies is him and Nicolas Cage. Remember when he paid money to meet Nicolas Cage and he played himself? Oh, that movie was so good, dude. But he was good in that movie too, man. I mean, he's a good actor. You know what I thought was cool? I don't know if you saw like the video of he suffers from anxiety and panic attacks.
Yeah,
I didn't know
And
that.
so I don't know her name. She's so fine. She was in Fast and the Furious, but she plays Sue Storm.
right.
No, I don't think she could fit in a car in Fantastic Four car. Respectfully, myself can barely fit in those cars. But respectfully, of course. He touched her on the arm, and sorry, and she grabbed his hand. I shouldn't be laughing, but like he was breaking down, and she grabbed his hand and made him feel comfortable.
He is freaking out, and
Yeah.
he like went to her, and she recognized it, and she held his hand, and he felt more comfortable after that. That was so sweet.
That was very sweet. Very sweet indeed. So, Alfonso,
Yes,
I
sir.
need you to get us excited. We've talked about Doom. The two movies that come after the Fantastic Four are Avengers movies. Now, we don't know who's going to be in the Avengers. We don't know who's going to be in this movie, but we do know one thing. We know who the villain's going to be for both of those movies, and we know who the director's going to be. So if you can educate us, do your thing.
Well, yeah, it was announced that the Russo brothers will be coming back for the new Avengers film. And then they didn't want to just come back for anything, for any villain. They wanted to make sure that they had the villain. So on stage at San Diego Comic-Con, they had a bunch of guys come out in green robes and like, green robes, what's this? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're looking like Doombots. And then Hanson came out, they started singing Doombot, Doo-wop. Oh, no. But then they're like, oh, man, come on. No love for Hanson? Come on. Those little girls were good. But anyways, so you had, then they're like, well, who are we going to have play Doom? And then out from the sea of Dooms, they part, walks out, hood removes, Robert Downey Jr. Bam. And the crowd went wild. Now there's a lot of naysayers because it's like Robert Downey Jr., he's Iron Man. Is he going to be Doom too? And the name of the movie is going to be Avengers Doomsday, which, you know, Superman's got a Doomsday, so I don't like that so much. They should, hopefully it's just something in the works. But, you know, King is definitely out and Doom is definitely in. So they're going to, from that, it's going to lead into Avengers Secret War, which Doom is a big part of. If they're doing the newer Secret, actually, even if they're doing the older Secret War from the 80s, and then the ones from the 2000s, I mean, both Secret Wars had Doom in him. And he's a huge part of it. So whether, you know, it's like, are you guys excited about Robert Downey Jr. being Doom? Is it, you know, it's like, he's such a great actor. Yeah, he did great for the Marvel Universe. Is he going to do it again? And it's like, how are they going to bring him in it? You know?
So for me, I wish I could have been in Hall H when they rolled out Robert Downey Jr. So I could have said, lazy casting. Like, you know, I don't even know what to compare it to, but like, y'all couldn't find anyone else. Like, granted, he's good. Okay, you can be great, right? My boy played a black man. Okay, he played a white man playing a black man, and I was like, hey, I was convinced. I was like, damn, maybe Robert Downey Jr. is a brother. So he can do his thing. Okay. Great actor. That being said, it's just, why do you got to go? It's like recycling.
Yeah.
You know, I want to make some
It's like,
analogy like, oh, you dated someone and you broke up. Why? You know, you had that. Why? And then like the Russo brothers, granted, they're okay. It was Endgame. Let's be honest. They didn't direct all of Endgame. Tell me if I'm wrong. Correct me, because I'm willing to be wrong. They actually directed the boring time travel part, the time heist. Lay snooze. That could have been taken out of the movie. So, no, granted, Captain America Winter Soldier is like basically my favorite movie. Also, they did that one movie, Time Here and There and Forevermore. But is that, I mean, I'm not impressed. How about you, Joe?
I mean, he's the dude that's playing as a dude that's disguised as a dude. That's another dude that's disguised as a dude. Yeah. What if he is a Doom, but he's a variant Doom, but they're gonna introduce the real Doom? I know that's a lot of money, but I think it'll shut up a lot of people that's, oh man, then you play someone new, and then because there's like a few actors that a lot of people that want. But what if they went and got one of them? They're just not telling us. Because yeah, you changed it, but you didn't have to bring out Robert Downey Jr. at all, right? But they did anyways. So I mean, you don't. I think with the Russo brothers coming out, they didn't have to do Robert Downey Jr. They could have saved it for a trailer or something like that.
Yeah.
Or they just did it because they have something else lined up to where he's not the real Doom of the 616. To your point, maybe, you know, from Fantastic Four coming from an alternate universe, and maybe he is one of those ones that's trying to make everybody fight against each other. But it could be another Doom there that, you know what I mean? That's what I think.
Yeah. The Maker. That was the name of the evil Reed Richards, right? The Maker?
The Maker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a theory. So one thing that separates Doom from Iron Man and Reed Richards, Doom deals in science, but Doom also deals in magic, like on par with Stephen Strange. He was almost the Sorcerer Supreme. In some comics, he actually became Sorcerer Supreme. Well, in magic, you have a little thing called necromancy, where you can bring the dead back to life. So what if somehow Doom in the past like he's coming in the future, he brings Tony Stark's body back to life and he possesses it, and then he gets kicked out, and then bam, we've got Robert Downey Jr. back as Iron Man, right? And then you also have him like back in his body, comes back to the future, and he takes the mantle of Doom there as well. So that could be a way to get Iron Man back, because they want Iron Man back. I mean, they even want Captain America back. Steve Rogers, right? But Evan says no, and for the most part, Robert Downey Jr. was saying no, but it's a good paycheck.
I mean, I'm not saying that that wouldn't be an interesting diagram to follow. So he's dead. He goes to the future. He brings him back to the past, and then puts him in the future. It's a lot.
Yeah. When are you going to do that? When are you going to do that, dude? Like, Doom's already established. I mean, that's a dope story for a comic. But I don't think they have time to do all that. I don't even think they have time to show how, if they did swap like in the comics. I just don't think they're going to dedicate. You have to dedicate a movie to it, and they're not going to do that.
Well,
like I said, I think but dude, you're not going to explain his whole backstory in that movie. You're just not. And by Doomsday, it's still an Avenger movie, so it's leading. You know what I mean? It's going to be like it's already established. You see what I'm saying? Like they're already going to be fighting, and it leads into that movie. But a variant a variant Dooms, and then you get the actual Doom. You know what I mean? I think that's how you can get people to watch it, because you know I think it's split 50-50. So there's people that like he's back, and there's people that don't. But I have to believe there's more than one Doom. It has to be.
Right.
But then again, even if that theory of mine does work, after that, what are you going to do with Doom? You can't do more movies with him in it. You know what I mean? Because it's supposed to finish with Secret War. So, you know, maybe he is a Doom. I don't know.
Shall see.
Now, weren't there multiple Dooms in Secret Wars? In the Secret Wars comic book?
Oh, there was a Council of Reeds. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because then Reed ended up taking out Doom and becoming that godlike person. Because there was God Doom. Reed took him out. Reed had that, and he had all of his Reeds with him too. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not sure if Doom did.
That wouldn't fly unless they turn Doom. You know, they mix with stuff. Maybe they're going to take the Maker character that was Reed Richards and merge him with the Doctor Doom character, and then they could have multiple variants, etc.
Yeah, and make him the. Hey, dude, I was thinking too, like, because they said Thanos is supposed to be back in there too.
What?
Yeah, that's what I heard. But you know how rumors are. But if he did come back, I want to see that scene where my boy ripped his skull out of his body, bro. Because you know Thanos was talking smack.
Yo,
I don't need my rings to beat you, and he said, "Okay."
He's like, "Don't worry, I got your back."
You know, that would be cool because you need a way to assess everything they did wrong with Kang. They could do right. So imagine you have Thanos talking smack. He beat the Avengers before, and he's face to face with Doom, and Doom just rips him apart. That immediately establishes him as the alpha villain. That's so perfect, dude. I love that.
Yeah, that would be dope if they did that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, when you see it in a comic, you're like, "Oh, my boy."
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am kind of excited for Secret Wars, but not because of the Russo brothers, not because of Robert Downey Jr., but because I feel like they're not going to mess this up. You know, so I feel like when it's all done, you're going to have a merged X-Men universe. I hate speculating. Everything's going to be merged. That's what's going to do it, because that's what Secret Wars did. It took all the universes and put them together. We might even see, hold on to this, because it happened in the comic book, merge the Ultimate Universe with the regular universe. So there's a possibility, boom, we get Miles Morales.
Yeah, because you could do that. What would be dope if you did that is that could start the next war, which would, you know, they're going to lead up to Avengers versus X-Men, and the X-Men can be the ones coming from the Ultimate.
Yeah, that would, because of course, you know, the Avengers are going to think like, you know, this is a powerful team, and they're going to come over, be aggressive. What do you think, Alfonso?
Yeah, I mean, and X-Men are going to win, so it don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this whole thing is gonna do kind of like what DC's what Infinity Crisis or whatever did, where it brought all the worlds together and made them into one. You know, just merged them into one. So I think, yeah, like even that how they showed at the end of the Marvels how Photon, went into another universe or another reality, and she was there with the Beast. So clearly there's a whole different universe out there with them. And I think what's going to happen is, you know, Secret Wars is going to draw everybody in to fight. And when everything is said and done, they're going to take the best of each world and bring it together.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I forgot about that. I feel like there's a lot of dangling participles that they're finally bringing together. Like, if we jump back to the Captain America Brave New World, they're actually going to address the issue with the Celestial that got stuck in the middle of the sea. That's going to be a form of, that's where they're going to get a source of adamantium. And so they actually address that. So I feel like everything that they messed up in phase 4, they're kind of slowing down and saying, like, let's not try to pump out like 8 movies a year. Let's just slow down, make movies that are cohesive, that clean up some of our nonsense, and then we can move forward from that. So I'm let's say cautiously excited.
What about this? Let me throw this at you, a little curveball. Speaking of them slowing stuff down, you're still going to get Agatha, right?
Yeah.
So supposedly Scarlet Witch is going to be in it.
See, now I'm back to being disappointed. Because you know how, like, back in the 80s and 90s or the early 2000s, there would be this character. Actually, this is how Urkel basically took over Family Matters. There would be this one character that people liked as a cameo character, but they didn't need their own show. I feel that's what Agatha's going to be, you know? So I'm just like, no.
Well, one more bit of information. When Reed and Sue have a child, Franklin Richards, do you know who the nanny was for Franklin Richards? It was Agatha Harkness.
It was Agatha all along.
It was Agatha all along.
See, now you're really not convincing them to watch Fast and Furious 4.
Yeah. Was Squirrel Girl ever their nanny?
No, but she beat Thanos.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Wasn't she someone's? Oh, she was the nanny for Luke Cage and Jessica Jones.
Jones, yeah.
Was it Jessica Jones?
Drew.
Yeah,
Drew.
Jessica Drew.
No, Jessica Drew, yeah.
No, Jessica Drew is Spider-Woman.
Yeah. That's Cage's woman.
No. Cage's woman is Jessica Jones.
True.
No.
To the internet.
To the internet you go.
No, it is, bro. It is.
Is what?
Jessica Jones.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight you're seeing this right now. Alfonso is going on his S12. It's an S12 iPhone X 2029.
14.
X. Okay, it's an X14. It says X.
Luke Cage, Baby Mama.
Baby Mama.
Yeah.
Here we
Luke
go.
Cage, Baby Mama.
Is
Jessica Jones. You guys win. My bad.
That's right.
I
That's
concede.
right.
Dang. I thought it was Jessica Drew.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, if it was that show that I was that game show I was watching the other night with Nate, I would have failed. But dude, that game show was sweet, man. I was just nailing answer after. It was like some nerd one with Bruce Campbell as a host on Prime, and it happened during WonderCon, dude. Man, if I'd have gone that show, I'd have won all the money. I beat every single person on that show, and Nate's like, "Dad, you're good." And I'm like, "Your daddy is king of the nerds."
Well, hopefully they'll do it again next year, and you and Dev can go on there because you guys are powerhouses. So that would be awesome. So, guys, I really feel like we've covered a lot.
Yes, sir.
Am I more excited for Phase 5? About the same. Mainly, I'm about the same because I started out like Captain America, super excited. Thunderbolts, don't care. And then it's like, Fantastic Four, don't care. Secret Wars is going to be dope. So it's back and forth, but I'm going to watch it all, which at the end of the day is all that matters. What really matters is, am I going to watch it twice? That's how you know something's good. Do I watch it twice, or am I just trying to stick with continuity? So I'm excited. I appreciate Marvel putting on Hall H and doing everything that they do. So do you guys got any, what they might call final thoughts on
Who hurt you? Phase 4.
Yeah, what you say? Final thoughts is I hate you, Phase 4 times 3,000. Phase 5, I'm looking forward to. Deadpool put me in a really good place with Marvel.
Oh yeah,
and I'm hoping Kevin Feige, to Alan's point, where he says a lot, can watch and take notes to it. And by him slowing down as many movies and TV shows coming out, kind of like brings me back a little bit more excited for what they're going to do in this phase. but not by much, but went up a little bit. That's what she said.
And so she also said that this concludes this episode of the Nerd World Order broadcast. So until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and knights of the Nerd World Order, I am NWO.
We are NWO.
Nerds redefined. Booyah.